So this is a mobile home type of tiny house, which is different. It's a park model, but it's for all intents and purposes it's a tiny house. So we wanted to show you some of the options. There's a more expensive option and a cheaper option. We have the brochures for both of them. I'm not sure what their price ranges are because the guy that's in the office right now has never actually been through one. But we wanted to kind of show you what we're kind of looking at. So go ahead and follow me in. So this is the bathroom. It seems pretty cozy. You have more counter space than you usually would. And did you want to come in and I'll show you how much space we have. So you have little bits of space. This looks like toilet paper, a little bit of plumbing under there, so there might be some limited storage there. But they have drawers, which usually in the bathrooms that we've been in other tiny houses, you haven't had a lot of drawer space. John would really like this shower because it's self-enclosed. Even in tiny houses, you have to worry about water damage. And so having something like this is nice. I think it's longer, maybe not necessarily a huge amount of more actual space, but it's longer, so maybe it has more of a feel of a lot of space. Okay, I love that it has so many drawers. Drawers galore. And so you can see that the bed is supposed to go between the two nightstands. And it's lofty, like they have a really tall ceiling, which I think is great. But what I'm really feeling happy about is the storage space. You've got storage space in the wall, in the cupboards, and then you have it underneath your closet. And then full closets. The thing that is difficult in some of the storage situation in the tiny houses we've been is that it's a half closet. So you can fit doubled over pants, or you can fit shirts in but not dresses, nothing long. And for a woman, you don't want your dresses getting wrinkled because in a half closet they'll always get wrinkled because they're pooled at the bottom. So far I think this is really, really charming. So once again, storage. Oh my goodness, in a tiny house, this kind of storage, I haven't seen this kind of storage in a tiny house. Even though it's not that much wider than most tiny houses, they have really put some thought into being able to have it be a usable space. So you can see here's more storage, drawers, and then you've got this nice little cabinet or this little counter so that you can have kind of a workstation maybe. I don't know if you'd want to eat in this because your stools would really get in the way.
The spice thing.
The kitchen is really cool. They've got a late page is talking about, what is it they have?
They have a spice thing.
A lazy Susan.
Yeah.
And they even have a dishwasher.
Back up just a bit to the windows.
They also have a dishwasher, but they don't have a washer.
No washer. So everything they have here is full size. Full size microwaves, full size fridge, dishwasher, oven, full size sinks, and lots cupboards. That's what I would say about this house. And they've done a good job with the texturing. Like the different dimensions make it feel bigger than it is.
Okay, so.
Well, I still think that this is pretty big.
It is pretty big.
I would start from this is the living room.
So this is a living room / dining room. And what I would like to say is that I love all the windows. It makes it feel very light and open. But in this kind of heat, like in a very arid space, like in Arizona, you're going to have major problems with heat if you have this many windows. And I honestly don't know how well insulated it is. We don't have any of the specs on that. But even in a tiny house, you need to really pay attention to what kind of environment you're going to be in and make sure that your house is designed according to that space, because just because you have a tiny house doesn't mean you can't be spending a ton of money on air conditioning or heating.
Sure.
So let's go on. And the double doors are kind of cool.
So,
if you did a deck outside, that would add to your living space right there.
Really would. So I just realized what it was. This area right here is your breakfast nook. Mm-hmm. And then this would be your living room / office, whatever. So
go ahead and follow us to the next one.
I like the butt.
Yeah. So I think this one must be the less expensive of the two models. You don't have the high ceiling. You don't have the darker paint making it look even taller. You don't have the catwalk around it, and it just doesn't have like the dimension that the other one did. This is more straight lines without the gimmicky. The kitchen is definitely not as nice. This is still cutesy, but I'm not sure exactly how usable it is. I mean, they obviously have it here to make some kind of space over the cupboards, but I don't think it's terribly usable space. And then you get into the kitchen, and instead of having that nice wraparound, that means you just kind of stand central and move like this. Instead, you have a long line, and you're walking between places and back and forth to do anything, whereas another one, central, and you could move in a circle. It looks like the cupboards are nice, but not, especially these ones down here don't look like they're terribly deep. Again, full-size appliances. I don't see a dishwasher in this one.
And a smaller fridge.
Okay, this is the bathroom. Again, I think there's not these. I think the bathrooms are just about identical. You have the same closing shower, nice full-size toilet, and a little bit more open covered space. So I don't know what the difference is in the bathroom, but nothing is shouting at me. They have a couple different doors. So you have some that are sliding doors and some that are more normal. So this room seems quite similar. It's nice and big. I don't know if it feels as open. I think it's pretty similar in how open it is though. I mean, same drawers, same drawers, same drawers, so it seems similar to the next one. So the first one I think is, I don't know if it's better built. I think they're both nice, but this one just feels a little bit chintzier. But I think as far as a tiny house goes, I think this one is actually really well thought out. I don't know. It seems to me that it's a little bit wider than your average tiny house that's mobile.
Yeah, it's 12 feet wide.
Is it 12 feet wide instead of?
Or 10 at least.
And so how much is average tiny house?
Your tiny house, to be technically a tiny house, it's an 8.5 foot.
So this feels a lot bigger, but it's obviously still mobile.
Mm-hmm. You would have to get permits to move.
Yeah. But I don't think it would be a huge deal. So I think these are super cute. So make sure to keep your options open rather than just saying, well, I won't have it unless it's a real tiny house. Instead, look at, would those extra 4 feet of width really make life easier? I can definitely tell this is a manufactured home rather than a tiny house because of the smell of the plastics that are in the cupboards, the plastics that are on the counters, lots of plastics. The paint probably isn't low VOC. So as far as allergies and stuff like that, I don't think this is optimum. I don't know what the cost is in them. I think they're cute. For me, I would rather live in a tiny house than live in one of these just because of the materials that were used in putting it together. So as far as my personal preference in a tiny house, I loved the sprout that was at Mi Casa. Because for one, the air quality was amazing. You didn't have a whole bunch of high VOCs. You had, I think we had unfinished wood, or it had some kind of finish on it that was very environmentally friendly. You walked into it, the air smelled very clean, and in here you're smelling the plastics really strong. It's very, very warm in here. The sprout we stayed in was 20 degrees cooler inside the sprout than it was outside, and it was a hot day. It was in the high 80s, low 90s. So I love when a house has a lot of windows, but I think that you really have to take into account what kind of environment you're in. Is it really sunny? Does it get hot in the summer? Would it be better to maybe cut down on the windows, maybe increase the insulation? So far, we had some people that really didn't like my comments about what I would change in the sprout that we stayed out at Mi Casa. They felt like I was really criticizing it, which I wasn't. As far as the sprout went, I loved the sprout. What I was talking about was by changing the inside design of the sprout, it would have been more user-friendly for our family. And that's what's nice about these kind of pre-manufactured tiny houses, is that you can really change it according to what is important to you and your family. You can add in more storage. You can take out the Murphy bed and just go buy yourself a folding bed. You can decide that you want a table that will lift up, or you can have a table that's stationary. And so for me, I absolutely loved how efficient the sprout was, but just because it's a tiny house doesn't make it a good fit for every family. You really have to take into account personalities. Do you like to get together tonight to cuddle with everybody on the couch watching movies? Would you rather have a lot of counter space so that you could do lots of crafting? Would you rather have a wraparound counter in your kitchen because you do a lot of cooking? And so just like any other house, your design makes the difference in how comfortable and how happy your family will be in it. So if I could give any advice, I would say find these little tiny house hotels and go live in one. See what size you think you need. See how much covered space you want. I think it's a real, what's the word? I think it's a real advantage to people, a real service to people, these places like Airbnbs. I mean, there's so many Airbnbs out there that are tiny houses, and I would say before you go investing $40,000 to $130,000 on a tiny house, go live in a few so that you really have locked into your mind what you really want in a tiny house, so that you can find the manufacturer you want, or so you can find the plans that you want, and I would say go from there.